can go to the D&M Leasing Hotline and talk to the man you just heard in the hotline. Let's welcome in Dallas Mavericks center, Daniel Gafford. Daniel, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Blessed to be on the phone, blessed to be here on the radio talking to you. I know the Tolos that listen on here haven't had a great chance to get to know who you are as a person because you were traded last year from the Washington Wizards, which congrats on the win last night. You also had one of your best games last night, I believe a season high with 16. Just what was it like playing against your former team last night?
Oh, man, it was dope. Just kind of seeing some familiar faces that, you were with for like 2.5 years. It's always love with those guys over there, I got a lot of respect for a couple of those guys that, just go day by day, just doing this kind of being consistent and just trying to make something out of nothing.
Daniel, Fred Davis here, and but that the highlight we played, do you specifically remember dunking on John Collins, by the way?
In that highlight right there, I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Just wondering. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I'll ask you an Arkansas question here in a little bit because I know you got to be feeling good about your boy John Calipari. Hell, he's probably trying to get you to come back for a year or two with that NIL money they got now. But I got to ask you this, and one of the things that we were talking about going into this season is, this is the first time you and PJ have started an NBA season. Look, no disrespect to Washington or Chicago, but let's call it what it is. Nobody was expecting them to be championship contenders, when you were playing with either one of those teams. What's that like in the offseason and when the season starts, where it's one thing to be a team that, hey, y'all are just fighting for legitimacy, to where, okay, now you're expected to be a cog in a championship team?
I mean, it was most definitely a change of scenery, a change of a mindset, I would say as well. I'm probably speaking for PJ too when I say this. It's just, one door closed and another door open for us when it came to an opportunity that we had to just be able to kind of make another brick in the path of progression when it comes to our career and just success in general. So it was a different type of locking in that we had to do when we came here.
Daniel, what have you learned about your own personal game, kind of going off of Fred's question, since you've been in Washington to now playing on this Mavericks team, playing with Luka, playing with Clay, playing with Kyrie? What have you learned of kind of opened up, okay, I can do this or maybe I can't do this?
Just learn the different type of patience. It helped me slow the game down for myself a lot more. Just being put in certain positions and just being able to succeed with, what I got out there on the floor, whether it's rebounding, posting up, or just, grabbing rebound and stuff around the rim and going back up with it. I got one main job, and that's pretty much just being the trash man, being the energy guy. So I kind of locked into that and just found ways to just do that at an elite level.
And Daniel, I was there for your first press conference when you were brought to the team, and that was kind of one of the things that you mentioned, being the trash man, doing all the dirty work for the team, maybe the stuff that maybe everyone else doesn't desire to do. Where do you think kind of that mindset came from? And if you could just explain to the fans kind of where you got that mantra from.
Really it's just, from where I come from, is just pretty much just work over everything. Having a hard work ethic is one of the main things that kind of just pushed me over the edge. I seen my mom do it a lot. I seen my dad do it a lot, just to make the sacrifices and stuff that they did to kind of help us and just put us in position to where we can just be successful when it came to whenever we became adults. And I just kind of took that and took it to the basketball side. It just helped push me to where I am today.
Daniel Gafford joining us here on the D&M Leasing Hotline. So you've had a interesting career already in your young NBA career. A number of different head coaches you've played for, Wes Unseld being one of them, Billy Donovan being one of them as well. None of them, though, are quite at that same echelon, both as a player and as a coach, as your boy Jason Kidd. What's been the biggest difference with playing for Jason Kidd and for a guy that played at the NBA level, who's a Hall of Famer? What is that like when it comes to relating to the players in a different way?
I feel like it's a dope experience to just have somebody at the caliber of Jason Kidd. He understands the game real well. I mean, he had a great career in the NBA when he was a player, and he's, pretty much doing the same thing as a coach. And it's just, I'm pretty sure everything is new to him when it comes to the coaching side as the days go by. But I feel like he's learning. He's a learning guy. He's learning like his players. He's learning the organizations. He's learning, everything on the coaching side pretty much. And it's just, he helps use his experience to just pretty much just give us the right recipe for success, honestly. We got great players on this team, and just having him giving, his feedback and some of his ideology when it comes to the game, it helps us a lot.
Has there ever been a time in practice where, like, maybe he switched back into player mode and thought, hey, let me go ahead and see if I can still, does he still have like a couple trips up and down the court left in him, or are those days over?
There was one time during when I first got here last year, but that was pretty much it. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen it ever since him getting back out there on the floor doing it.
Could he give Kyrie a blow? I mean, could he last a quarter if y'all really needed him to?
Maybe. It depends on how long is left in that quarter, I would say.
A lot of help on defense, too, I'm guessing, as well.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
Kind of going off of that help on defense, a big thing for you guys last year and what was made of in the media is kind of how y'all's defensive scheme is a lot different than other teams of funneling players too lively to you, Gafford, into the center, and y'all kind of being that rim stopper to deter people from scoring. Do you think that defensive scheme is carrying over into this season? Do you think teams are attacking y'all differently now that scheme is kind of out there? Just kind of what have you thought from the defense from last year that led you all the way to the NBA Finals to how y'all are playing this year?
I just feel like we're kind of picking up basically from where we left off. Me and D-Live, we got a pretty good idea of just, what it's going to take for us to just be successful out there on the floor. We have one main job, and that's pretty much protect our own. There's going to be lapses on the perimeter whenever guys get downhill. We just have to get to the point to where we're just consistent with what we have to do on a night-to-night basis.
And you speak about consistency. One of the big things for this Dallas Mavericks team has been consistent recently of getting wins. But the season didn't start off so great with all the injuries. You've had Luka out. You've had Kyrie. You've had Klay, Najee, PJ. Pretty much everyone on the roster at some point has been in and out, whether it be illness or injury. Kind of how do you deal with that as knowing, hey, I'm starting this night. I'm on the bench this night. I got to play 25 minutes versus 15 this night. Just how do the players and you kind of react to that?
Just a level of commitment and communication. The reaction is just, the next man up mentality. It happens throughout the league. Injuries aren't, not going to happen. At the end of the day, we try to prevent it as much as we can, but stuff happens on the fly throughout the course of games, throughout the course of the season. And when it just comes to our schedule, some guys because of fatigue, some guys with load management, so on and so forth. But just that next guy up mentality is one of the ways that we, I would say, approach games when it comes to, these guys out, this guy's starting, different playing times, you're going to be out there on the floor a lot longer than what you're used to. I feel like the approach that we took at the beginning of the season when, we were kind of going through the up and downs, we found a way to just kind of, let the storm settle, and we found just a light at the end of the tunnel, I would say. And we kind of stayed together. Guys that were out, they were communicating with us. They were keeping us energized. They were putting a lot of commitment into the game, even though they weren't able to play into the game, So when it came to the guys that were available, it was just, we were putting the pieces together that we were missing at the time.
And Daniel, you kind of spoke about that. I'd love for you to peel the curtain back a little bit for our fans at home. When players are not active as far as playing that night, how involved are they? Are they just at practice coaching on the sideline? Are they kind of just what is going into that when players are not playing that night but are still with the team?
I would say it just depends on the timing and what is the cause of their absence, honestly. Majority of the time when it comes to some guys being out, it's around the time where we don't really have too many practices to where they can kind of be included. But it's just they find ways to kind of, at least give some type of 2 cents when it comes to the game that's at hand. Majority of the time, guys, of course, they send us text messages throughout the group chats that we have, giving us motivation, just finding ways to be able to contribute without being able to be there physically majority of the time.
Daniel Gafford joining us here on the D&M Leasing Hotline. Taking a trip back to last season, look, folks in the DF Dub, I think obviously you guys felt good about y'all's chances going into last year's NBA playoffs. And, of course, you guys, balling through the first 3 rounds. And then, you get to the finals, and it was a combination of, I'm going to ask you this. What was it? Was Boston that much better, or was it just a combination of things that led to, it looked like it was just a different Dallas Mavericks team in the finals versus those first 3 rounds?
I really can't even say. It was my first experience, so it was just a lot of stuff that was happening for me at the time. So just kind of really paying attention to everything that was going on with the team it was a bit of a blur for me because everything was going at 100 miles per hour for myself. I can't even lie to you.
Okay, and so but I'm glad you said that because I'm wondering, does it feel like maybe everybody was kind of, outside of maybe Kyrie, everybody was kind of feeling that way? Because it's one thing where you guys are in your first time doing it, and then you got this Boston Celtics team where, it was almost like if they didn't win, it was going to be looked at as a failure.
Yeah, I mean, Boston, they've been putting that team together for a minute. They've been in and out of the finals too. I think the year before last year they were in it with Golden State, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's just, the experience that they had and kind of, the position that we were in, it's just like kind of bad timing for us, I would say, But like with me, I never make excuses. I feel like I didn't do a lot of stuff that helped the team impacting wise on the floor. But I think everybody kind of felt like that. I felt like that, everybody on the team felt that we could have, kind of kicked it into another gear. We just couldn't get there, honestly.
So, okay, and perfect segue then. So now that you've had that experience, now that you've been there and you've done that, and now that God forbid we make it back there again this year, that newness is gone. It's not where that blur's not gonna be there. What was the biggest takeaway for you personally from that experience in the finals last year?
Biggest takeaway for me was just like my approach and the energy and the atmosphere that was around the finals. My first time being there wasn't really, expecting anything, but I felt like I wasn't ready either when it came to just like the preparation and what it took. It was the last series of the year and just trying to give that extra push with that last amount of juice that I had left in the tank for last part of the season. I felt that, I ran out early for sure.
Well, that extra juice has been there this year, Daniel, as like I said, y'all are 10-1 in your last 11. You're averaging a career high in points at a little bit over 12. You're leading the league in field goal percentage. What do you think is gelling so well this year for you personally that's just making it work so well on the court with the tandem of you and Lively?
Like I harped on earlier, just the patience, having a lot of patience and just being able to find ways to hold myself accountable and be a little bit more consistent on the floor when it comes to just, my play style, my pretty much job on the floor, and just, being as energetic as I possibly can. I'm one of the energy guys on the team doing a lot of screaming and stuff. So I try to do that on a night-to-night basis, protecting home and just doing pretty much whatever it takes to impact, winning basketball out for the team.